In the vast universe of mythical creatures, mysterious shadows enshroud beings endowed with supernatural powers, inhabitants of the realms of fantasy and mystery. However, under the lens of speculation, we question, what if behind these legends lay a thread of reality? What if these mythical creatures were not pure invention but glimpses of real beings that roam or once roamed our planet? Let's explore 4 of these creatures and the possible connections between fantasy and reality. The myth of the Kraken, a colossal sea monster that terrorizes sailors, has deep roots dating back to the 12th century in the waters of Scandinavia. However, the truth might be more intriguing. Scientists speculate that sightings could have been creatures similar to giant squids, perhaps extinct, which shared the same ocean with ancient mariners. This leads us to wonder if the legend of the Kraken is not a projection of ancient sailors onto real creatures that inhabited the ocean depths. The myth of the Kraken, a gigantic sea creature that terrorizes ships, is shrouded in a centuries-old aura of mystery. Its history dates back to the 12th century when tales of this monster began circulating among coastal communities in Norway, Iceland, and Greenland. These stories described a colossal beast that hunted whales and attacked vessels, creating whirlpools to swallow everything on board. As with many myths, the Kraken likely grew in size and ferocity over the years as stories were told and retold by sailors. The earliest reports of Kraken sightings date back to 1180. At that time, the giant sea creatures may have been misunderstood by sailors, leading them to create stories about a sea monster lurking in the depths. In reality, if we look at these ancient accounts with a scientific eye, it's possible that the Kraken was a kind of giant squid, perhaps already extinct or undiscovered. The story gained some support in 1853 when a giant sea creature was found on a Danish beach. It was the first time such a creature had been seen and studied up close, and its appearance astonishingly resembled the reports of the Kraken that had been shared for centuries. However, the debate over how many species of giant squids exist and how large they can actually grow still persists. Given that there were once immense creatures like the Megalodon and the Liopleurodon, many scientists believe a Kraken, in the sense of the legends, wouldn't be impossible. There is additional evidence that fuels the mystery. In 2011, fossilized bones of a Shanosaurus, a marine reptile that lived about 200 million years ago, were found arranged in a way that researchers claimed only a giant octopus or a Kraken-style squid could be responsible. An American paleontologist, Professor Mark McManaman, claims that the arrangement of the Shanosaurus's vertebrae and the sucker marks found on the bones suggest an attack by a much larger creature, challenging the conventional narrative of paleontology. A squid or octopus of this size, if it existed, would defy what we know about marine life. The legend of the Kraken, therefore, is not just a sailor's myth but an intricate web of stories that may have roots in real discoveries. The ocean remains full of mysteries, and the idea that a Kraken might have existed or still roams its abysses continues to capture our imagination. The image of a beautiful female figure combined with a fish tail is a symbol of duality that has captivated cultures worldwide for millennia. The myth originated around 1000 BC with the tale of a Syrian goddess who was supposedly transformed into a mermaid after being thrown into a lake. Italian explorer Christopher Columbus claimed to have seen mermaids near Haiti in 1493, remarking that, from the front, they appeared to be men. Another explorer, Captain John Smith, famous for his association with Pocahontas, also claimed to have encountered a mermaid in 1614 while sailing off the coast of Newfoundland. But how can we explain these encounters? It's possible that ill-informed observers confused marine creatures like manatees or seals with mermaids. However, some sightings remain intriguing. In 1943, Japanese soldiers reported finding mermaids on the beaches of Kii, Indonesia. There are even older tales, such as that of a young man in Scotland who purportedly killed a child with a salmon tail. It could be the product of imagination or misunderstanding, but the persistence of these accounts raises questions. Could mermaids, or something similar, truly exist? With so many mysteries in the oceans, it's difficult to completely dismiss the possibility. The origin of the mermaid legend can be traced back to the ancient world. In Greek mythology, we find the sirens, creatures that lured sailors with their seductive songs, leading them to a tragic fate. They were often depicted as aquatic birds with women's heads. While the representation varies, the essence of the mermaid as a hybrid entity persists. Throughout history, mermaids have been portrayed ambivalently. On one hand, they are symbols of seduction and danger, representing the unpredictability and beauty that can lead to doom. On the other hand, they are also seen as guardians of the oceans and protectors of seafarers, a duality that reflects the very nature of the sea, beautiful and relentless. Although many of these reports can be rationally explained, the myth of mermaids endures and continues to influence popular culture, from movies and books to songs and art. Mermaids are a reflection of the depths of the ocean, a place that still holds numerous secrets, fueling our imagination and our desire to believe in the unexplored. The origin of the dragon myth is a topic that generates much debate and speculation. Dragons are legendary figures that appear in various cultures around the world, and their origins trace back to ancient times. The diversity of representations, from fierce beasts in Europe to majestic creatures in East Asia, raises questions about their origins. Could dragons have existed and inspired these myths? Some speculate that ancient civilizations found dinosaur fossils and assembled them, creating images of dragons. Others suggest that belief in dragons arose from human encounters with real creatures that possess similar characteristics. While these theories offer intriguing explanations, the truth about the origin of dragons remains shrouded in mystery. In Europe, dragons were often seen as ferocious beasts that personified evil. The legend of Saint George and the Dragon, dating back to the early 4th century, is one of the most famous stories involving dragons in Europe. However, prior to this, there is evidence of dragons in Greek and Roman mythology, where they were often associated with deities and heroes. It's possible that the myth originated in classical antiquity and later spread throughout Europe. Dragons have a very different presence in East Asia, where they are considered benevolent creatures associated with rain, fertility, and prosperity. In China, the dragon is a symbol of great significance and is one of the central figures in Chinese folklore. The earliest records of Chinese dragons date back more than 7,000 years, during the Hongshan dynasty, around 4700 to 2900 BC. Dragons also appear in various other cultures around the world, such as Norse mythology and Mesoamerican mythology. Representations of dragons in these contexts can vary widely, from winged beasts to giant serpents. Dragons, in their variety of forms and roles in different cultures, demonstrate the enduring power of myths and human imagination. This diversity of cultural interpretations has shaped mythical creatures uniquely. In a world filled with countless mysterious creatures, dragons serve as a reminder that the boundary between myth and reality often dissolves. Even if dragons themselves did not exist, their influence on cultures around the world is very real. They have inspired countless stories, artworks, and even festivals. The ability of a mythical creature like the dragon to remain so deeply rooted in the human consciousness is a testament to the enduring power of stories and our innate desire to explore the unknown and embrace the extraordinary. The Chupacabra is a relatively modern legendary creature that has sparked great interest and fear in the Americas, particularly in Latin America and the United States. The origin of the Chupacabra myth can be traced back to the early 1990s, specifically in Puerto Rico. It all began in 1995 when reports emerged of a series of mysterious animal deaths, primarily goats and sheep, on the island of Puerto Rico. The animals found dead had something in common: their bodies appeared to have been drained of blood. These reports began to circulate and gain prominence in the local media, causing panic in rural communities. Initial descriptions of the Chupacabra varied, but a common image emerged: a robust creature, about the size of a small bear, with scaly skin, spines on its back, and long claws. The name, Chupacabra, in Spanish means goat sucker, due to its supposed preference for attacking these animals. Theories about the origin of the Chupacabra are varied. Some believe that the Chupacabra legend may have been a response to real events, such as disease outbreaks or predator attacks that caused the death of animals. Others suggest that the myth was fueled by sensationalist reports and the media, amplifying fear and hysteria. However, in 2007, a notable event occurred that added some credibility to the myth. A woman named Mrs. Kenyon, who lived on a farm in Texas and was being targeted by the Chupacabra as many of her chickens were being killed and completely drained of blood, found an unknown creature by the roadside, which she believed to be a Chupacabra. She froze the animal's head for research purposes. Tests conducted indicated that the creature was, in fact, a mix of a coyote and a Mexican wolf. This provided some scientific explanation for Chupacabra sightings. The story of the Chupacabra is an intriguing example of how urban legends and modern myths can quickly spread in the age of mass communication. Although reports of the Chupacabra have diminished over the years, the creature continues to be a topic of discussion and investigation, demonstrating how the human imagination can breathe life into scary creatures in a world already filled with mysteries. In the universe teeming with legends and myths, the line between reality and imagination often blurs. And while science seeks answers to many mysteries, the persistence of these mythical creatures in our culture suggests that the boundary between the unknown and the possible remains intriguing. Now, which of these creatures do you believe is most likely to exist? Or, in your fantasy, which one would you like to be real? The world is full of surprises, and reality often surpasses fiction. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to follow more original content about the mythical world of cryptozoology. Now, if you want to learn more about what life was like on Earth before the legendary dinosaurs, check out the video playing on your screen. See you next time.